Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here, especially on stage with a couple of industry rock stars, Holly Shih, formerly Siemens, and now at Eaton Corporation, and Stacey Ostermann at Allied Electronics and Automation. I'm Jeff Hunt. I'm CEO and founder of Snap36. Interesting story is that when we started this company 10 years ago, we thought that 360 would be there and it'd be, the next thing because everybody wants it, nobody's doing it. Well, I'm here to say today that's finally coming true. So the fun part about it is that we had to build a company and a market all at the same time, and it's all happening kind of in front of our eyes. So what I wanted to do was just a quick overview from me. I know you want to hear from them and what they're doing, so I'm going to get out of the way quickly. I just want to give you a taste, though, of what's going on in the industry. In the automotive aftermarket world, everybody from retailers like O'Reilly and Napa and AutoZone have active 360 programs going on today. Their distributors as well as suppliers are participating as well. And we're actually part of that. We've written the specs within that industry for the 360, so we've really immersed ourselves directly in that industry. The electrical industry, which we're going to hear about today, I won't spend a lot of time here, but with Home Depot and Allied, who you'll hear from, as well as Siemens, again, we're really seeing a lot of groundswell on the value of it, and I won't blow any of their thunder on that. Same thing in industrial. We have great relationships with Grainger and Lowe's and Home Depot and all of the suppliers. If you're part of the world is doing vendor-supplied imagery, we can help pull all of that together. We're not just a photography studio. I spent 35 years in software technology. I understood the problem the world had on this. And so we're coming in to help solve a lot of your image content problems out there. CPG is getting there very quickly. It's unbelievable how much shopping online is going on for food, and it's only going to get bigger. It's going to be growing at about 50% year over year for the foreseeable future. And both Walmart, Amazon see this as the battleground of the future, and that's why places like Kroger and Topco are jumping on board. And last but not least, guess what? Walmart and Amazon both have active projects now. And for any suppliers, anybody selling on them, whether you're the B2B side, they are now accepting 360s. So real quick, half the efforts of doing 360s and doing any photography is pick, pack, ship, prep. If you're going to go to all that effort, it's just as easy to take 24, 48, 72 images of a product as it is one, because most of the work is all in the logistics of getting it there. We're seeing a huge effort in touch once there, weights and measures and such. Once it's on your website, we have metrics left and right. You're going to hear more of those on increased conversions, reduced returns, all the good things that happen in the human brain when you have a 360 3D product that you're dealing with. Same thing when your salespeople go out and engage your customers to sell their lookbooks and such. There's so many ways to leverage 360. What you're doing as well, and it's strange what happens with people, is you're building trust in your brand. People are like, these guys have nothing to hide from me. What I see is what I get. There are no surprises when I get it. That is driving 90% of our growth. Is just nobody knows what to believe these days, and a picture is worth 1,000 words. Visual search, Mike mentioned that. To have a guy before you up here vouching for it, I can't really go much further than that. He said it as well as anyone. And last but not least, people talk about CGI. If you have something that fits well with CGI, you can actually create models in about a quarter of the time once you have your imagery as when you don't. So again, lots of different ways we can talk about. Come see us at our booth, and I will not delay any further. I went almost as fast as I can. And Holly Shih, it's all you.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks. So good afternoon, everyone. Just a quick background on Siemens for most of you who don't know about Siemens. So April 1, Siemens went through a major global reorganization. So now globally, they are seen as two companies, two parts of their companies, one being operating companies made up of gas and power, smart infrastructure, and digital infrastructures, digital industries, and the other half being strategic companies like Ostrom, Gamesa, and Healthineers. So overall, Siemens is over a $100 billion company, 187 years old. They've got over 300,000 employees worldwide. So it's a very strong company that focuses on industrial space and electrical space as well. So my business that I came from was low voltage products. So simply, we produce products that help protect, divide, and monitor power into an infrastructure, or even your homes and data centers. So how do we go to market? We go to market through distribution. Over 86% of our business went through either wholesale distribution or through retail. And our markets are commercial space and residential space, but also we play in industrial and institutional space as well. So let me begin with the why content is so important. And we heard this morning, right? Content, rich content builds trust, and it's all true. And Forrester also reconfirms that with 60% or so of the buyers want self-service in terms of research. And that number is even higher when you're looking at the millennials of the world. In our industry, I grab a couple of stats from National Association of Electrical Distributors, NAED. They do a technology benchmark every few years. So the latest stat that they did this was 2015, 2016. You can see that our electricians or contractors are now wanting to go directly to manufacturers' websites or distributors' website to get content, which puts a lot of pressure on the manufacturer to produce that content to service up to where the consumer wants to go. And if you look at the second chart, it's hard to see from the back, but in 2015, what were they looking for? 75% of the time they were looking for a picture of a product. Within a year, that went up to 81%. So that's the fastest growing category in terms of the content they're looking for, is imagery. And by the way, we do business with Home Depot and Grainger, and they see that it gives a huge lift in the conversion rates. And they changed the requirements. In the past 5 or 6 years ago, Home Depot would require only 1 image to upload your product to sell online. Now they require at least 3. So raise your hands if you agree with the statement about content is king, right? Everyone in the room should put their hands up, right? I somewhat agree with that. I view content as the new oxygen. It is a necessity, not an option, to have content to survive in the e-commerce space. So our customers are demanding each day that we are best in class in these 4 areas. Commercial data, so they can transact between their system and ours. Technical data, so they can know what the specs are in order to install the right products into the solution. But really about the confidence building, right? It's around digital assets and marketing attributes. So let me get into the imagery aspect. So at Siemens, in my business, we had 3 areas that we used to drive imagery. First is 3D renderings. A lot of positives, right? If you don't have a product, you can render it because you got CAD drawings. Also, it's great in using use cases like AR and VR. Problem with 3D rendering is it's expensive. It requires a lot of expertise to do it, and you can't scale. And most times, it's representative images. Our customers are demanding product-specific images nowadays versus representative images. And everyone knows the traditional photographer. You know, you bring them in-house, you take them to their local studio, they take a shot. Advantages as well, right? You can take bigger products, or you can take family products. Problem is, it's slow and expensive, you can't scale, and it takes a lot of resources from your product management and your Marcom person to coordinate that effort. So I sought out about 5 years ago to find a better solution. It was actually 5 years ago at this event. And first of all, I want to start off by saying, who loves getting harassed by vendors in the expo hall? Like, no one? Okay. So 5 years ago, it was a smaller expo hall, and I was walking back and forth. And, you know, they're aggressive upstairs, but not as aggressive as Colleen back there from Snap36. She literally grabbed my arm as I was passing her booth and pulled me back, right? Some say that's aggressive sales tactic. I would say assault, but, you know, you guys be the judge. So we started a relationship with Snap36 about 5 years ago. We brought them in to our South Haven, DC. In 6 weeks, they shot 3,000 SKUs with either 1 row or 2 rows. And then since then, what we've been doing is scheduling batch shipments to their studio from our DCs, and then scheduling some smaller ones throughout the year, 3 or 4 of them, for new product launches. Overall, we've got over 200,000 individual images within the last 4 years. So the benefits of Snap, or 360 images, is that you get 24, 48, 72 still images that you can repurpose elsewhere, right? Through planograms, through brochures. You can syndicate out to your customers, right? These are high-res images. You can zoom in and see the most detailed aspect of that product. whether it is the labeling details or even the connectors on the back of the product. So where are we spinning? We've got two major platforms for e-commerce. One is our configurator platform, and the other is our B2B platform, all of which we repurpose all the still images, and we've got our products spinning on those two platforms. But we're also distributing that content to our customers, whether you're a wholesale electrical distributor or you're in the retail space. We're actually the first movers within Siemens to spin products. No one else in the world for Siemens is spinning product, except for low voltage in the US. We're also the first movers on Home Depot in the rough electrical category to be spinning our breakers and our load centers. No other competitors have done that themselves 3 or 4 years ago. So again, we play in retail. We're spinning on retail. We spin on distributors' websites. And of course, we're spinning on Allies' website as well.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start first by what drove us to pursue a 360 spin initiative. So in our industry, it's pretty much the norm to rely on our suppliers to give us product imagery. However, most of them don't have the resources, except for Siemens, to go around and take professional images of all the products in their range. So what you end up with is examples like we have here, where you get sketches, poor quality images, or worse off than nothing, you get no image at all. And as you can imagine, that's a really poor customer experience that we need to fix. So another thing that is important when it comes to product imagery is the ability to participate in the Google Shopping marketing campaign. So if you don't have an image, you're automatically out. But if you have an image, and if it's too small, if it's poor quality, if it's not on a white background, well, then Google will come around and disapprove those images from the campaign. So again, there could be a big loss in sales there. So we knew we needed to come up with a strategy to fix this problem. But when you have several million SKUs online and you're crossing multiple hundreds of product categories, that solution needed to be very scalable. The other thing we wanted to do as well is really elevate our digital presence. So we needed to figure out what that strategy was going to be. One thing we knew for sure, this photo studio that we had wasn't going to cut it for us. So we had a guy, a camera, and a light and a table, and all we were producing was about 20 still images per week. So that wasn't going to sustain us. So how we found Snap was actually a pretty interesting story, because it wasn't in the traditional way. Colleen was trying to get a hold of my boss for a while, but she didn't tackle him in the hallway. But it was Howie who was
I did not tackle him.
She tackled him. It was Howie who was speaking at a conference very similar to this one, and my boss, Dan, was in the audience, and he came up and pursued Howie after the panel to pick his brain about spin imagery. So Howie, being the advocate that he was, walked my boss, Dan, over to Colleen at the booth and made the introductions. So it was a much nicer introduction. So from there, Colleen and I spent the next couple of months working on a business case that we would go back and present to my leadership. So in terms of conversion and revenue, and then also the increase that you would get in customer engagement, it really seemed the ROI was kind of undeniable, and this is something we should really pursue. Additionally, just the fact that having spin images, on your website is pretty cool. We're like, hey, maybe that could propel us to be best in class for our industry as well. But the real benefit was going to be for our customers. So as they were speaking, we were taking these images in high resolution. And that really enables that customer to zoom in on the fine print, see the diagrams on the side, which is really great. And then along with spinning it, you can see everything you need. And as a customer, you could feel like you're holding that product in your hands, which is really invaluable. Other driving factors that we considered as well came around with operational expense and also what the future would hold for us. So Jeff was talking about this before, but we quickly figured out that it costs just about the same to shoot one image or 72 if that's how many you were doing for your spin. So the real cost comes from picking the inventory, prepping it for photography, returning it back to inventory. Once you actually put the product on that spin table and you let automation take over, you get all the images you need in just a matter of minutes. So why take one when you could take 48 or 72? Additionally, when it came to visual search, we knew that one of the big customers that we cater to is an MRO customer, maintenance and repair operator. So let's say his line goes down and he goes over to the machinery and he picks out the part that's faulty and there's nothing recognizable on it. If he were to go and do a search for that online, Allied would be much more likely to get the hit because we could be putting up almost 72 different angles of that product. So that's a real big advantage for us to consider for the future. So about maybe a little less than a year after that initial introduction, Snap came down to our Fort Worth facility, brought 4 of their spin machines and all the staff that we needed, and we kicked off our initial project, which was to do 10,000 products in 9 weeks. And that was really successful, on time, on budget. It was all great. But we knew by the time we were getting towards the end of that project that we were going to have to keep pressing forward with this initiative. So what we did is we went ahead and we bought 2 of those machines, and we stood up our own photo studio and got it staffed. We started doing tours of this studio and our capabilities with our suppliers and our customers, and it really drummed up a lot of interest, so much so, in fact, that we're going to build out a showcase studio with our warehouse expansion project this year. So that'll be great. Another thing that we did to drive interest is we started spinning our products on all of our social media platforms. We've really seen an increase in engagement from our customers, and we're seeing them click through the links and actually get to our product page as well. So we'd love for you guys to join the conversation, so please follow us on any one of these platforms. So finally, I know you want to know, well, what were the results? How has it been going? So it is still relatively new for us. Like I said, we haven't even been live for a year. But a small percentage only of our products are actually up there spinning, but we actually have seen very encouraging results, and that is to about a 2 to 3% lift in conversion for products that have spin images versus products that just have still images. So very encouraging when we haven't even been speaking about it much. But even maybe a little more importantly is we've been getting great feedback from our customers. Our technical sales teams love this because it really helps them answer the questions when people call up. And the sales branches, it's a tool that helps them go out there and sell to the customers as well. So to wrap things up, I just thought I'd show off some of our imagery. So this is a PLC from Red Lion, and as you can see with just a typical 3-row spin, your customers could see every angle, the input, outputs, everything they need to know and have that trust and confidence, hey, this is the right part that I'm getting. We also wanted to have a little fun down in our studio, though, and we got a little creative, and as you can see with this Amphenol connector, we did an exploded view on it. So again, it really makes that customer feel like they're actually holding this in their hands. Another example is this RS Pro connector kit. So RS Pro is our private label brand, and one thing to think about here is what you're looking at are actually GIFs. If you're on the website, the customers control the direction of the spin, the speed of the spin, and they could also zoom in on each one of those 30 connectors if they wanted to and see the details. So again, really helps them reinforce this is the product that they want to get. And then finally, I just thought I'd show off this last one. This is a Phoenix Contact thermal printer that wanted to say the end. Jeff?
Great. Thanks, Stacey. And thanks, Howie. Any questions from the audience? We've got a few minutes left here. For any of them? For us? Again, it's one of those things where we have so many people walk in and say, oh, gee, we just did 10,000 products and we took like 3 pictures of them and now we've got to go back and redo it. And they say, we just went through that effort. Why didn't we just take this? We're finding, again, more and more customers coming to us and seeing this in all different lights. A lot of these examples that these guys gave, we learn from them. And so, sometimes you might think that you got an off something. We shoot for trichlor boron. Imagine a clear bottle, water bottle with no label on it, and you wonder what it's going to look the same all the way around. They actually saw a 20% uplift on their website when they launched spins because people just interacted with them, wanted to see the mold seams and everything on the products. Just more information led to more engagement. So without that, any questions whatsoever? There's one over here.
Nope.
Greg Chun from McNaught McKay Electric Company. And question to Stacey, did you go to your manufacturers to see if they already had these? And were you subsidized by them? Did you give these images back to them?
Absolutely. In fact, Siemens, definitely, they handed over more images to us than anybody else, but there's probably a handful, maybe 6 or 7 different suppliers out there that already had spin imagery that handed it to us. And in exchange, anything that we had taken above and beyond that they didn't have, I traded back with them. So we definitely have that partnership.
Thank you all very much.
Great. Thank you.